sound like a good thing.
I started at some point, I thought I got it. So it's built automatically. So
It's doing something.
good for now.
Perfect. That's
Here, I got.
perfectly honest. Yeah. Straight answer I've ever heard. So we're rolling. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the October 10th, 2024 Town of Lake Luzerne Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Would you all please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On this evening's agenda, we have two new applications. Application 2024 AV-8, Brian Giuliano, 33 Woodward Drive, requesting relief from the length of a retaining wall. Wall is over the allowed 25 feet, it is 125 feet. We have new application 2024 AV-9, Sean Moran, 734 Lake Avenue, requesting relief from one, the height and length of a retaining wall. Wall is over the allowed 6 feet height and 25 in length, and asking relief from two, the height requirements of a fence. The retaining wall is a total of 162 feet, 10 inches long, exceeds the 6-foot height limit. A fence is allowed 4 feet in front yards and 6 feet is allowed for side and rear yards. The height for the fence varies from 50 inches to 133 inches. We have review and acceptance of the minutes from the September meeting and new and old business.
Want me to do roll call?
Please,
Matt Powich,
present.
Kayla Giroux,
Here.
Mike Bordeaux,
Here.
Rael Zubel,
Here.
Sonia Harris.
Here.
And Burgess Abbott is absent.
Yes. Yeah.
If you'd like to come up here,
Yeah.
please speak into the mic.
Yeah.
Here's the packet that they were given last week. Here's your receipt since it was mailed, and this is the cover sheet for tonight.
So item number one is new application 2024 AV-8, Brian Giuliano, 33 Woodward Drive, requesting relief from the length of a retaining wall. Wall is over the allowed 25 feet. It is 125 feet. Mr. Giuliano, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
So tell us what exactly it is that you're doing.
Well, we wanted to get some property up here in the Adirondacks or near there, and we purchased this home. We liked its proximity to Lake George and Lake Luzerne and whatnot. And when we got there, we thought we were just gonna, use it as is. We really started liking it. We said, let's spiff it up and do this and do that, which led into the yard. And when I had a local contractor who was awesome, take down all the trees, take the wood, and we started grading, and I kind of looked and said, geez, I need a yard for my kids, and I got to tier it. So I got to build a boulder wall. Unbeknownst to me, there was this kind of just a different rule or town thing that says you can't have like a continuous wall for more than 25 feet or something that I found out afterwards. But, so I kind of said, well, I got pictures of everything in case anybody needs it, but I got before and after stuff. So I kind of said, well, what can we do here? And they said, well, you can fill out an application for a variance and go to the committee and explain to them what you did and see if that's something that they would accept. So basically that's where I'm at. I got a great yard and it's usable, but just trying to look not to tear the whole place apart to separate that wall.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions as far as what Mr. Giuliano is doing?
Does anybody want any pictures or anything? I don't know if.
I'd like to see the before pictures. I've seen the property.
Okay, let me
If you
bring them
bring
up.
those up, please.
Yep. Shows.
That's the before. I don't think so anybody wants to see it.
Okay. Understand that tonight's meeting is just review of the application for completeness and deciding whether or not we accept the application.
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures, it doesn't exceed 6 feet.
I was gonna just discuss that because we had talked about that. Before we get into the actual application review, if you go into the application where it shows the heights of the retaining wall. This picture. So in this picture, there are heights varying from 4 feet 6 inches to 7 feet, 7.3 feet, 4.6 feet, excuse me, to 7.3 feet. When Mr. Giuliano brought this application in, Karen discussed this with me. Basically, if you look at on the left where it's 5.9 feet, and that's all retaining wall. If you look where it's 7.3 feet, the actual retaining wall, the boulder part, is about 4.6 feet. The rest of that is basically landscaping. It's just graded earth with mulch on top of it and stones placed intermittently. Karen said that she was not considering this retaining wall to be greater than 6 feet, so did not require an engineer's stamp on this design. She talked about it with me. She is the CEO, that's her call, but I did agree that the rest of this, that's not retaining anything. That's landscaping. Okay, I wanted to talk about that first. So I'd like to get into the application. This is seeker exempt. County planning referral is not required. There's an APA non-jurisdictional letter in the file. Let me get into the application. So, Mr. Giuliano, the first question I have to ask you is, it says your address is 33 Woodward Drive. Is that your legal address?
No, my legal address, like where my primary residence is in Somers, Connecticut.
And what is that address?
107 Hamden Road,
HAMDON.
Hampden.
Somerset, you said?
Somers, Connecticut.
Somers, SOMM,
SOMERS
zip code?
06071.
Do you have any objection to us changing that on the application?
No, no.
Thank you. Owner information is the same. Looking for relief from section 3, local law number 3 of 2019, retaining wall. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with that law. Since we are too familiar with it. We go to the next page, brief history, purchased the property in 2023, renovated same year, including landscaping and wall. Description of the proposed action. Mr. Giuliano, just so you know, when we review these, we look at it as though the structure does not exist.
Yep.
And you are here proposing to build the structure,
Okay,
not that the structure is in place.
I understand that.
Proposed action is 125-foot continuous boulder wall with an average height of 5.3 feet. Anybody have any questions on the description of the proposed action?
No.
Variance standards. Question number 1, describe how the requested variance will not alter the character of the larger neighborhood or impact of just adjacent properties. Response is using boulders native to the parcel. We arranged them to form a mostly decorative wall to enhance the area. We graded down to form a lawn where end-of-life trees once stood too close to the house. I will state that as far as I'm concerned, that question is answered, and if anyone has any objections, please state so. Question number 2, describe what alternatives have been explored to achieve a solution other than a variance. Response is we're unable to demo the wall to make a break at 25 foot due to the great cost and the damage to the lawn and the landscaping. Again, the question is answered. Question number 3, explain whether this request of variance is substantial. The response is it is not substantial in regard to our neighbors. No impact on runoff or drainage has changed. Question is answered. Any objections? Question? Certainly.
Going back to question 2, what alternatives have been explored? Before you put the wall in, did you explore any other alternatives?
Well, I looked at just like sloping the whole yard down towards the house. But the issue that I had there, like once the trees came down, is that area was unbelievably wet. And I know it was a wet year last year, but it was just, it was crazy. So the whole thing was like pitched right to the home and the water was going into the basement. So by doing this, I was able to like take that first 50 feet that I now have as a good player behind the home, and I actually could pitch it away from the foundation, which really worked awesome. And the wall kind of became like a little low point, and we were able to get a good drywall, a lot of crushed stone and stuff in there. So like the alternative was like to have just this one big slope that just continued its way down to the foundation. It didn't seem to work. Plus the yard would have just been like one big slope.
Thank you.
So back to question number 3. As far as I'm concerned, the question number 3 is answered.
Questions answered.
Question number 4, describe how the requested variance will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The response is all drainage concerns were considered during construction to elevation or views were due to construction or to elevation or views were impacted for the neighborhood. I'm not sure I think I understand what you're saying. The drainage concerns were considered and views to the neighborhood were considered. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I look any type of, impact that it would have. I kind of feel that it reduced it because when I did the work myself, so I was like able to and I run the machine and whatnot. And although there was like water coming out of those woods and kind of coming down that hill or mountain or whatever it is, there were some really cool like dry pockets. I get in some really nice gravel. So I was able to take a lot of that gravel and get some real good dry wells and some real good water storage to let it like go into the ground versus run out onto that road and whatnot into the front of the house. So, and into my basement. So I don't view wise, I don't describe how it had an impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Yeah, I don't think it had any type of impact, or the work is not having any type of impact on the neighborhood other than the disruption of having the trucks there for a little while.
Thank you. Any questions? Question number 5, describe how the requested variance is not a self-created difficulty. The response is the current code was put in place to protect environmental water runoff and drainage concerns of neighbors. This does not fall under the purpose of the code, and no negative impact was created. The question has been answered. Any disagreement? Anyone have any additional questions for Mr. Giuliano? We have the deed. We have pictures of drawing the drywall with distances. We have pictures with elevations. We have an overhead shot of the entire property.
I will need those before pictures if we're going to keep them to go into the official file.
Certainly. I know there's a picture here, Karen, of the, and we have the adjacent properties. There it
Yeah,
is,
it's this one.
right? As far as I'm concerned, this application is complete. Do I have any disagreement?
No.
Make a motion to establish a public hearing for area variance. I can find the number.
Do they have to do a motion to accept it as complete or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Make a motion to accept application for area variance 2024 AV-8.
I'll second.
Karen, roll call.
Okay, 1 second. Matt,
Yes.
Kayla,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Sonia,
Yes.
all voted yes, carried.
Make a motion to establish a public hearing for area variance 2024 AV-8. Brian Giuliano, 33 Woodward Drive. Relief from the length of a retaining wall, 125 feet versus the allowed 25. On our next meeting, which is November 14th at 7 p.m.
Matt,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Kayla,
Yes.
Sonia,
Yes.
you're all set until next month.
Okay.
Okay, I will be posting a public hearing in the newspaper and on our website and mailing it out to any properties within 500 feet of your property.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so you
Thank
need
you.
to be here again next month.
Next month. Okay. Thanks for your consideration.
As I'll tell you why after.
Item number 2 on the agenda is a review of new application 2024 AV-9, Sean Warren, 734 Lake Avenue. Requesting relief from the height and length of a retaining wall. The wall is over the allowed 6 feet in height, 25 feet in length. Asking relief from the height and requirements of a fence. The retaining wall is totally 162 feet, 10 inches long, exceeds a 6-foot height limit. A fence is only allowed 4 feet in front yards and 6 feet on the sides and rear yards. The height of the fence varies from 50 inches to 133 inches. Mr. Moran, welcome.
Hello.
So explain to the board what it is you're looking to do.
Looking to remove the existing retaining wall and replace it and continue a retaining wall and increase the length of it considerably, and then put a fence up.
I have, this is a question on my part, I've seen the pictures that were in your packet from your previous request when you wanted to extend the front porch.
Yes,
That concrete retaining wall, did that concrete retaining wall abut the foundation of your house?
no, there was a staircase in between the two. There's a cement poured staircase. in
Was it
between.
all part of the same pour?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
I don't believe so, no.
So Karen, this is because I know it was 2 applications.
Yeah,
two
you'll,
Sets of paperwork, 1 application, correct?
right, 1 application, but he's looking for more than 1 variance on this. And we did the one for the retaining wall first, then the issue of the fence came up. So rather than have him take the application back and I had him do a separate application for the fence, but it's all still just one appearance for the variance.
Okay,
One thing I want to mention is in your packet. The deeds, there are deeds there for. This is two parcels right now. He is going to combine them. He's had it surveyed to combine the two lots into one. His lawyer has drawn up a proposed deed for that. But it's not been recorded yet because he was waiting for the lawyer to put in all those meets and bounds that the surveyor came up with. So the recorded deed to make it one parcel it has not happened yet. He's intending it to happen, but there is a deed in there that contains both the lots presently anyway. But right now, the retaining wall goes over the property line between those two lots. I just want you to be aware of that.
Mary, do we need to wait for that to happen before we take action on this? While you're thinking about that,
Well, how?
So the verbiage has been added to
Is it gonna take to-
it. The lawyer has sent it. Everything's been added to it and it's been sent to Warren County to be recorded.
Oh, but it should be, when did that?
Today's Thursday. I think it was Friday. I think I came in the end of last week with
Yeah.
the copy.
Yeah, it's,
okay, so we're free to proceed. Okay, Karen, the other question, I don't know, we discussed this, what about the front yard setback variance
um,
for the retaining wall?
yeah. Based on the survey that you dropped off,
Mhm.
your house is at a bit of an angle on your property. And so this new retaining wall, even though you got a variance for that front porch before,
Mhm.
yet this new retaining wall is closer to the center of the road than that porch is. So we got to add into this a front yard
Variance.
setback variance.
Okay. Okay.
So we need to, just for the record, list what variances we're looking at here. It's a front yard variance for the retaining wall, not the fence, because the fence can go right on a property line, okay? So it's the front yard variance for the retaining wall. It is the height, I believe, that's over 6 feet high, the retaining wall, correct?
Yes.
And so the height of the retaining wall, the length of the retaining wall. And for the fence, it exceeds it's the height of the fence, not the length of the fence. It's the height of the fence in the front yard, height. It actually ends up being all of the fence because it exceeds 6 feet in other places as well. So the height of the fence as well. And once that deed is recorded, it's okay that it goes over that, the existing property line. I'm not
Okay.
worried about that. So retaining fence. I think that's it. The front yard setback. The height and length of the retaining wall and the height of the fence.
Right,
I have a quick question. Would the survey show how many feet that encroached past my front porch, or do I need to have the surveyor come back out?
Well, I have in my file the survey from the front yard setback.
Mhm.
I don't think I kept one of the big maps. Matt or Mary, This shows the retaining wall 52, the left-hand corner of it, as you're looking at the survey, is 52 feet to the center of the road.
Okay,
And back in your file for the variance for the front yard setback, it was 55 feet, 55.8 feet. So you're like 6 feet, 6.8 feet different. Closer to the center of the road. So that's, okay. But the survey shows how close it is. But that variance that you got before was for the front porch. This is
Right.
a total different matter. So we've got to ask for the front yard setback again on this one. The other thing is he has done a jurisdictional inquiry for the retaining wall, but we
Haven't
don't
heard
have
back
it
about the
back
fence.
yet from the fence.
From the
You're
fence.
redoing that one, but
Yep.
we haven't got a response yet for that from APA.
Your new deed is recorded.
okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
So Karen, just to be clear, this new application 2024 AV-9 is going to be the official number for the application, but the application is for 3 separate variances, correct?
Correct,
The front yard variance, the height and length of the retaining wall, and the height of a fence.
correct.
Thank you.
He also is working with an engineer to get the drawing of the retaining wall because he knows he's got to have it because it exceeds 6 feet. We just don't have it back from the engineer yet.
The surveyor sent the electronic version last week to the engineer, so I called a couple times in the last couple days to see if he transferred the exact points to the retaining wall, and I haven't heard back from him yet, so.
I'm confused. The purpose of having a licensed engineer review the retaining wall is for the design of the retaining wall. So what does that have to do with the surveyor?
I thought that the surveyor would be sending over, I mean, I didn't think it would hurt for the surveyor to put the points for his drawing.
But the engineer is.
I don't know if it has one has anything to do with the other.
Okay,
Well, when
you do understand.
when I finally do get the plans back from him, it may have had no relevance or benefit whatsoever to have all that sent over to them. I just thought maybe it had something to do with his delay, might have had something to do with putting the plot points that the surveyor had provided into the equation and into the paperwork itself, but maybe he is not going to do anything with that at all.
Possibly if he's looking for elevations, but we normally when we accept an application, we accept the application as complete. That stamped engineering drawing for the retaining wall is not in the packet. It will be, Karen will be required to have it before she can set a public hearing because it has to be available for the public hearing.
The way the local law is written, it says that the wall can't exceed 6 feet in height or 25 feet in length. And that if it's over 6 feet in height, it requires an engineered stamp. I don't think that we really need the engineered drawing for the height of it until I'm actually ready to issue the permit. It's whether or not you give the variance for this wall to exceed that 6 feet height. So I think you could proceed with the variance without that drawing from the engineer. I just won't be able to issue the permit until I have it, if you give him the variance.
Do you need it for the public? Does that information need to be available? for the
Not
public?
really, because we have all the heights and the lengths, and that's what he's asking for the variance for.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any additional questions before we proceed? So there are two applications in here, which I think for simplicity, we'll just do them one at a time.
Three.
Well, there are three. One which we just added, so there are two sets of paperwork here. Mary, do you have any preference as to how we proceed with this? Okay. So Karen, do we need paperwork for a front yard variance?
I just added it to my cover sheet, but this is for the retaining wall. I need to add that section of the code, if it's all right with Mr. Moran, to his application on the retaining wall section. Front yard setback is mentioned.
Well, my question is, we have responses to the variance standards for the retaining wall, and we have responses to the variance standards for the fence, but we do not have responses for the setback.
That's going to be your call, what you do with that. You can either ask him to add it tonight or however you want to handle it.
Does anyone else have a preference?
Modify it.
I have no issue in modifying it as long as I have agreement of the board.
Yep.
Okay, then we should.
100%, yeah. I'm
Or that you want-
sorry that we're here in the first place. I apologize, but
Okay, so question number one. Describe how the requested variance will not alter the character of the larger neighborhood or impact adjacent properties. The response is, which is originally for the retaining wall. My goal is to create an aesthetically pleasing front yard and rear yard to both my neighbors and travelers of Lake Avenue. That same question. For the fence. Okay,
We do want-
certainly.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with it. That's okay.
Confused if we go back.
All right. So let's talk about the retaining wall first. I know you were present for the previous application, so you know that we don't consider the wall to be existing.
yes, sir.
So tell me what it is that you want to do. I understand the history of the property. Anybody have any questions on the history of the property? Retaining wall.
Okay, well, the old retaining wall was failing and over the last couple of years dramatically started leaning inward towards the house itself. So hopes to remove that, replace it with a more solid structure. And then while doing that, the grade of the driveway, so the property in itself it's a large driveway. It's basically a large parking lot that's, so I'm sorry, pitched and sloped back towards the house itself and the garage, which is a walkout basement. And because of the pitch, water runoff comes into the garage. So the extension of the retaining wall would be to stabilize the the bank itself, and then to regrade the driveway, creating more of an outdoor living space, along with a part of it being a driveway, and then yeah, just to create an outdoor living space that's usable, that because of the grade and the slope before, one, water was an issue coming into the house, and two, it was unusable space because of the slope.
Anyone have any questions on the description of proposed action? In response to the standard questions, question number one, describe how the requested variance will not alter the character of the larger neighborhood or impact adjacent properties. The response is, my goal is to create an aesthetically pleasing front and rear yard to both my neighbors and travelers of Lake Avenue. Question has been answered. If there is any disagreement, please let me know. Otherwise, I will proceed. Question number two, describe what alternatives have been explored to achieve a solution other than variance. Response is, the alternative was to leave the unsafe wall to fail and cause damage to the house's foundation. Question is answered. Question number three, explain whether this requested variance is substantial. Response is, the retaining wall in front allows us to grade our yard properly. This substantially improves our ability to utilize the outdoor space. Question is answered. Question number four, describe how the requested variance will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Response is, rain and snow runoff will not enter our basement, and it will create privacy as well as reduce the loud road noise. Question is answered. Question number five, describe how the requested variance is not a self-created difficulty. Response is, the retaining walls have been leaning over more over the last 2 years, and the rain and snow runoff flows into our basement because of the pitch of our yard. This new retaining wall allows the yard to be more level and not cause further damage to our home. There is a drawing which shows the retaining wall.
Do you have any pictures of the failing retaining wall?
Might, I mean, I'm sure I do. You know what? I'm sure I do. Just didn't. I don't think the purpose was to take pictures of the failing wall, but I certainly taken pictures out in the driveway. I'm sure I have pictures of that. Yeah,
That would be good to add to the packet.
okay, I'll get those together.
Mr. Moran, is the retaining wall uniform in height along the entire 125 feet?
No. It is for probably 99% of it. Around the perimeter, it's the same height all the way around. 8 feet from bottom to top. There's one section, there's one 12-foot section, where it's only 6 feet high. It's 3 blocks high. And that was just to create a barrier within the perimeter. We're going to put a patio and a fire pit. On this drawing right here, that little 12-foot jog.
Yeah.
And there's probably a picture I can. In this picture right here, it would be those 3 blocks, that height right there.
But none of the retaining wall is less than the 6-foot maximum currently allowed by code.
Correct. Only this 12-foot section of it right here is 6 feet tall.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move on to the next section regarding the fence.
So we have to make a motion to approve that one for public hearing one at a time. Do them all at the end.
I do them all at the end, I believe. The second application is to install a fence and under this, the description of the proposed action, the response is install a fence 4 feet above the retaining wall to create privacy from neighbors and traffic. The height of the fence will remain level to create aesthetically pleasing fence. That's somewhat misleading because the fence is 4 feet above the retaining wall, but the retaining wall is 2 feet above grade, so the fence is 6 feet above grade. Actually, 71 inches on the section that runs parallel to 9N, and the maximum height for a front yard fence is 48 inches. From the corner where it heads east, it starts at 71. I believe it goes to 98. And from that corner, it runs north from 98 to, I forget, 100 and something inches. And then the corner, which is adjacent to the house where the staircase is, it is as high as 133 inches. So it's not installing a 4-foot.
The sections are 4 feet high or whatever, but because it doesn't, there's a space to the grade, the actual measurement that I have to consider is more than 4 feet, more than 6 feet on the
Right.
sides.
Right.
Right.
So it may be 4 feet above the retaining wall, but the fence is not 4 feet tall.
Yeah, so it doesn't count what's behind the fence really.
Right.
Should it be worded install a fence over the 6 foot allowable height?
Well, he fills
Like
it in.
He's got, you have to word, we're not.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I was only looking at it like what I didn't want people to see was the retaining wall. So if I went up 4 feet, I was right. So that the number I came up with was 48 inches for a 4-foot fence to make a level line around the perimeter. But I see where that's misleading in reading this, but obviously the pictures, I mean, tell it all.
How about if we just add install a fence 4 feet above top of retaining wall? Would that clarify it better?
I think I would have to go to the,
Is grade going up there a lot?
There's pictures of it.
yeah,
Took pictures from every angle.
Yeah, so you gotta just have numbers to install the
Well,
fence there.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if there's a
Sure.
retaining wall behind it or if there's a spaceship behind it. What the people are looking at from the front.
Right. So from the front along Route 9, from from the staircase next to my house, the fence it is 4 feet high, almost a little over, well, whatever his measurements are exact, but as the closest point to my house, that point, and then as far as we go parallel to Route 9, at that point, it's 6 feet high. It's 6 feet high at the end. Before we turn and go the other direction. So I mean, if it would be better for me to just put the height in inches from at each corner, I'd definitely do that.
I think on that cover sheet, I had put, I'm looking for mine.
Install a fixed door fence. Yeah, along the roadside, that's his.
Is that what I put?
I think it's 4.
It says that the proposed fence varies from 50 to 71 inches in the front yard, from 71 to 133 inches in the rear and side and rear yards. I can tell you,
So would I be requesting the variance on the front yard would be
From 4 feet to.
from 4 feet to 71 inches?
if you guys go to that first picture. Okay, this height is 71 inches. Go to the next picture, which shows the corner. So it's 71 inches at the corner, but the property slopes as it goes away. So it's 71 inches on this side.
Isn't it only both side that we're worried about?
No,
No,
it's
because
gotta be 4 feet in the front
4
and
feet
6
in the front
feet
and
on the
6 feet on the
side,
side.
maximum. And it exceeds
over
that.
here, when you get to this end, it's 96 inches. So it exceeds the 72. So this shows it better. It's 71 here and 96 on this corner. If you go to the next one, it's 96 here. It's 115 here.
So we're just trying to.
I
reword the description. Right
Yeah,
now.
Karen, I don't, Mary, have any thoughts? Uh, Karen, can we add the measurement numbers to the pictures and make the wording in the application height variation requested as depicted in pictures?
Sure, will you take either do that on the second.
I will do it on
cut.
mine. I
and
will
give it to
get
me.
it to you.
So we're gonna add what at the end of that description? And he's got installed fence 4 feet above retaining wall.
Install fence height to heights as depicted in pictures.
You okay with that?
Oh, yes, I am. I was gonna try to do some math here and subtract. But yeah, yes, 100%.
I'm gonna cross off all that stuff. Say this is one of the most, I would say, complicated ones I've tried to figure out.
Okay, so are we all good with the description of the proposed action? Question number 1, describe how the requested variance will not alter the character of our larger neighborhood or impact adjacent properties. The response is, it keeps with the character of our home and neighbors, and it has the Adirondack feel. Again, I will, unless I state otherwise, I accept these questions as answered. If you have a disagreement, please let me know. Question number 2, describe what alternatives have been explored to achieve a solution other than variance. Response is, I could use a shorter fence, but that would all allow neighbors and traffic to view our outdoor space. Also, a shorter fence would not limit as much traffic noise. Question number 3, explain whether this requested variance is substantial. The response is, well, the fence is 6 feet high sections. To maintain a level height, some of the fence is 133 inches tall. Question number 4, describe how the requested variance will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The response is, it's a nice fence. I plan to stain. I'm not sure what that next word is.
Like,
Oh, like my front, thank you. My front porch, plants every 8 feet and place small plants along the base with landscape lighting. Question number 5, describe how the requested variance is not a self-created difficulty. Response is, I believe it covers the view of the retaining wall and is much cleaner look than the fence that is staggered from section to section following the grade of the driveway. We have the deed. So Karen was still waiting for county planning.
I believe we got that back.
We got too much paper.
It came back as no significance.
And we got the APA letter as
Yeah,
non-jurisdictional.
we're still waiting for the fence part of it. We got the retaining wall part back. Yes, I have the county response here. The Warren County Planning Department finds that the proposed action has no significant intercommunity or county-wide impacts.
So Mary, do we have to run through all these questions for the setback? So,
For what, the environmental impact?
no, the front yard setback for the retaining wall.
You have to like fill out a new application as we go.
That's my question.
Okay, how about if I go grab a blank variance? What do you, or I'll just write it on a piece of paper.
Whatever's easier for you. Is that readily available in your office? I'll go grab it.
No, it's not. I can write them down as we go. What?
You can just
I'm
tag.
just trying to think it through. I mean,
Does anyone have any objections if I write it on a piece of paper here and then transfer it to a form later?
No.
I have
Anyone?
no objection.
All right, so
Mr. Moore, do you have any
I have no
objection?
objection.
I think the brief history can be the same.
let's just go through.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the front
Well,
yard.
let's outline the first action
Yeah,
and then go through the questions. I'll make sure we know.
So the requested variance is for front yard setback variance for a retaining wall. The requested distance from center line of road is 52 feet.
Right.
The requirement is what, Karen? In that zone?
60.
60, thank you.
Okay.
So Mary, is it acceptable for me to ask Mr. Moran these questions and have him answer it and Karen record it?
You live here, you're around.
Yes.
This-
We're like getting the water pretty muddy here.
Yeah, we're getting, we're
save a
filling out an
half hour.
application.
It is, it doesn't really matter how.
We just don't wanna like.
But there is no,
Great.
there
we don't
is
wanna
the next
no
bring up
answer.
Distress.
But I guess what I'm saying is that it's relevant, really, how he answers these questions. The only relevance is how the board answers these questions. I've had that opinion before as well. So I don't even know that it's necessary to make him go through these questions. I think you just need to decide whether you're comfortable with the application being the proposed action, and then as long as that explains the public hearing portion, as long as someone can come and have an opinion on it, I think then it just matters how you answer these questions. So I guess I'm thinking, we don't have to have him go through these. As long as you are all comfortable with the variances that he's seeking, and the public can come and have an informed discussion on them.
So as long as the public still knows he's going for these variances, it doesn't matter what's written down here. They're still being notified and they wanna come gripe, they can.
It's my.
I like her opinion.
Well, she's counsel, that's all she's doing.
Don't follow my opinion.
I don't,
It doesn't matter how the applicant answers these.
no, but when subsequent to the public hearing, and when we're reviewing this application to decide whether or not we approve it, we have to go through,
You do.
yes, as a
Yes.
board, have to go through all
And you
these
need to
questions.
make sure you can articulate how you feel, why you've come to that conclusion.
I don't have any problem with that. Does anyone else?
I don't think his answers are gonna be able to change much from the other answers. Still, we're still talking about.
Well, no, we're talking about the setback.
8-foot
distance.
setback, right? I mean, that's what I'm
Right.
basically asking for also is a permission for an
But
8-foot
it's still
variance.
like the impact of the neighboring, like all of that stuff still is the same, you know what I mean? Like the neighboring impact and, I mean, there's a couple of things that might have a few extra sentences in, but that's no different than what he's told us in his description. I feel like I'm comfortable with.
I
Yes.
am comfortable. I don't have any issues with Mary's recommendation. Does anyone else?
No.
No. As far as I can see, all the other required information is here with the exception of the APA letter for the fence.
Correct.
Mr. Moore, when do you expect to hear from the you have contacted the APA about
Yes, I
the
have.
fence?
Yep, it's, I would assume, I would expect it to be in the mail already, but, usually I just gotta, it was only a few days after the last time I did it, so I don't know, with the holiday. I'm
Depends
hoping
on how
first part
busy
of next
they
week.
are, actually. We will most likely have it before I do the public hearing. But even if we don't, it's not necessary to have it until you are ready to make your decision anyway.
Modified pending APA approval.
And
I
the stamp
guess.
drawings from the architect, right?
Well, we really don't need.
The
those.
stamp drawings are for Karen.
Oh, okay.
That being all said, I make a motion to accept new application 2024 AV 9 Sean Warren, 734 Lake Avenue, requesting, now I gotta go back to my other page. A front yard variance for retaining wall, a variance for the height and length of a retaining wall, and a variance for the height of a fence.
I will second.
Roll call, Karen, please.
Matt Powell,
Yes.
Rail Zubel,
Yes.
Mike Bordeaux,
Yes.
Kayla Giroux,
Yes.
Sonia Harris.
Yes.
Carried.
Make a motion to establish a public hearing for area variance 2024 AV 9, Sean Warren, 734 Lake Avenue for November 14th, 2024 at 7:05 PM.
I will second.
Matt Powell.
Yes.
Rail Zubel,
Yes.
Mike Bordeaux,
Yes.
Kayla Giroux,
Yes.
Sonia Harris.
Yes.
Carried. Hey. We're all set until that night.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, I'll be in touch if I need anything.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for all that, at the extra
Okay.
you guys have done. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3 on the agenda, minutes for the September meeting. Has everyone, Karen sent them out? Has everyone had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Mm.
Motion to approve the September minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item number.
Carried.
What was that?
I just said
Okay.
carried.
I was gonna say, but I didn't want to take you through all of it. New or old business, Karen?
I don't have anything.
I do not have anything. Anyone else?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.